But at what point do you start to question the Biden administration is still contracting with MOHELA services who have financial incentives to do the wrong things? Yeah, in the student loan program, as Dave Ramsey says all the time, cognitive dissonance. Can't keep making student loans because even forgive them, the problem just resurface. Another issue is that some of the plan's features, including the most beneficial one to borrowers, a drop in payments by almost half, won't be available tonight. So even though they dropped this plan, excuse my voice, Christ, even though they dropped this plan, you gotta wait till the summer to get your payment cut in half. So hey, if they cut this 2,000 in half, at least it's 1,000. Nah, it's supposed to be 200 for you because your payment's supposed to be 400 regardless, right? Many borrowers didn't realize this, experts say, because many borrowers aren't tuning in and checking in with people who are well versed in the situation to actually see what stuff is about. They hear, oh, hey, we got this thing coming in. It's going to help you. You didn't ask them, hey, when is it going to help you? This is why I say poor people ask how much as far as the payment, and rich people ask, what the total cost of it is. It's like, y'all don't even check in. You wonder why your student loan debt. It's one thing to be well versed in this information as far as student loans, how to get the forgiveness, and say you still want it, cool. It's another thing saying, hey, I need help. But then when they say, hey, we're giving you help, you don't even know what the help is. People are not ready for this conversation. If you're someone who wanted help and you want this feature, this feature from the Save plan, getting your payment cut in half, it's on you if you didn't know that was not going to take effect until summer 2024. And this is the one thing I always want to say about student loans. These people are not uneducated. These people should be some of the smartest people ever. They have a college education during this time period, during the modern day. I mean, my goodness, you got a master's in your doctorate. You tell me you didn't read the Save plan and realize that the half payment didn't start until summer 2024. Are you telling me you have a college degree and you want us to believe that you can't read? Maybe in America. Shout out to literacy right here. But this is the lack of, for better words, holding people's feet to the fire. Why do we give people, and everyone who has student loan debt doesn't have a degree, but why are we giving people who at least went to college, and the majority of these people who are talking about their student loan debt complaining want the forgiveness have a degree or might even have multiple degrees? Why do we get them a pass on lack of comprehension? The inability to understand data statistics from a public student loan forgiveness standpoint, where you have not even a 5% chance to get it. The pass that we give people with student loan debt who have a college education is unreal. It's insane. It's literally insane. Department is working closely with student loan service to ensure that they are doing something. Okay, they're trying to get it fixed. Yeah, this is October. For Save payment plan issues, the department directed services to notify affected borrowers and put them into an administrative forbearance. So this happened to my clients. She just got put into this situation. Just got, all right, you're back in forbearance again, until they were able to calculate the correct payment amount. What does this mean? Why didn't you have it calculated? See, MOHELA, they ass was too busy. Well, they weren't in court, but they was too busy trying to make sure the whole forgiveness didn't occur. Now, when it's time for the forgiveness not to occur and these payments start back up, they messing up. Who is this? Who is Sarah Clough? Oh, here we go. Still some borrowers. Told you I don't read these articles ahead of time. They're struggling to even access a new option. Early October, Sarah tried to contact her student loan service to Nelnet to apply for the Save plan. Under the program, borrowers' payments are calculated based on their household size and income. And Clough had a number of questions. She recently got married and is now pregnant. She want to know if the baby counts, even though she's pregnant. What's your view on pro-life versus pro-choice, man? Joke. Anyways, her original bill is $483. That's about the average. Average is like 300 something. That was due on October 20. She said that wasn't affordable to her. See, this is what I hate about these articles. What was her payment? Depending on she's 28, so yeah, so she likely, because she's 28 now, so that means 3 years ago before the pandemic, almost 4 years now, because 2024. She likely had graduated college already. She went right at the high school and graduated, 4 years, 5 years. But if we're saying that it's $483 that was due in October, what was it before? What was your old payment? What was your old payment? And were you in deferment even though your old payment was less than or equal to this amount? Because obviously this is higher than her last payment. She wasn't making the payment, and obviously this new one. That's more expensive than our car payment. Why do you have a car? Too much debt. How many car payments you got, Sarah? Anyways, she was on hold for 2.5 hours. My wife tried to call the VA. She called her. She's talking about she was number 30-something in line. So you just wait. She called again. She was like 20-something, but it was moving way faster. Anyways, by the way, when my wife got through to the VA, they still said they had an issue with their system. What? She was on hold for 2.5 hours with Nelnet and then was disconnected before she could speak. That's why my wife. Shout out the federal government. Before she could speak with a representative, she said she called back and was on hold for an hour. She called back again. Communication is very lacking. Hey, you're pregnant, Sarah. This stress might not be good for you right now. I mean, stress is not good for pregnant women, but hey, you might want to just hold off on this. Communication is very lacking. She said, as you can imagine, our message system, servicers face challenges going into a repayment surge. Right, because everybody's student loans just went on pause, and now everybody's student loans got to start back up. Right, exactly. The changes in the space over the last 3 years that servicers are dealing with. They didn't have to make payments for 3 years, or then they weren't servicing anybody essentially for 3 years. Now all of a sudden you got all these changes when it surrounds student loans, and they got an influx of issues, and issues just being things they have to deal with, not good or bad. 60 million borrowers roughly were transferred. This is insanity. How many people have student loans? Oh my God. It's almost 45 million people have student loans. So over a third of people had got a new servicer during the pandemic. That is unreal. That's insane. Insane. That over a third of people who had student loans got a new servicer. Right. Like several servicers dropped out of business, probably because they wasn't getting no payments. They living off that interest. As I said, the bar, yes, it was less profitable because they weren't making any payments. Okay, letter went out in September. Okay, Senator Elizabeth Warren, deeply worried about your preparing. Why wouldn't they? You guys kept saying it's going to get pushback, not pushback. I mean, all these different pushbacks. All right, in January, Nelnet made deep cuts. Oh no, they made deep cuts to his staff. Cool. These reductions would significantly impact our ability to rapidly ramp back up for return to payment. Here's where I'm confused. I'm not confused on the fact that it'd be an issue to restart, but wouldn't they have? I mean, was it end of 2021? Well, I don't believe it was the end of 2020 when the first extension happened. It might have been, but whenever the first extension happened, why weren't they prepared then? I know the first extension wasn't announced in 2022. Okay. So that means it happened sometime in 2021 because Trump had an extension and he wasn't in office then. President Trump did an extension. So they essentially had all of 2022 and damn near all of 2023 because the payments didn't restart until October of 2023. Almost 2 years to prepare for this restart. And we had 4 or 5 different pump fakes as far as, we're about to restart, in a couple of days. We're about to restart. It's still not ready. And then y'all want to hope these people keep track of your ability to no longer generate money for them. Remember, when you get your student loans forgiven, they're not seeing in this money no more. It gets wiped off the books. I believe these services aren't seeing any money because now it's taxpayers to put that. Or maybe are they seeing the money, but they still want that interest. They still want your student loans on the hook for the life of the loan. Then on top of that, considering the fact that some of y'all gonna never pay these jokers off, they get that interest indefinitely. Okay, though we were attempting to rehire many of the customer service agents whose employment were. Now they're talking about they fire people and try to get them back. What? They will not be able to hire the staff needed for the repayment surge. Oh my goodness. Servicers have indeed been given a hard task. Still a long wait times. Okay, long wait times. Oh, all my wait times are over 100 minutes. Yeah, you got 16 million people calling. How many people have an account at Nelnet? Let me see this. How many student loans does Nelnet service? Talking about $4 billion, not give me a number on how many actually people. Regardless, my guess is they're somewhere in the millions. I know for 100,000s for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're somewhere in the millions. Definitely MOHELA is. Wish they could chalk it up in incompetence. But at what point do you start to question, okay, Biden administration? Okay, Jane Fox, Legal Aid Society. Chapter chair of the Association of Legal Aid Attorneys in New York said the main issue with the federal student loan system is that servicers are paid a fee per borrower, which leaves them little incentive to resolve the issues or deliver on promised debt relief. They're not interested in getting you forgiven sooner. If they're not interested in you getting forgiven sooner, then why would they make sure that your qualified payments that they're tracking for you are actually qualified? Remember, the federal government is the one who does this forgiveness. So they are the one who says whether or not you made a qualifying payment, not your servicer. Does that make sense? If you can go to a .gov and see what your qualifying payments are, I wouldn't trust it. All right, here we go. Okay, some Buchanan. Okay, blamed many of the current issues of the servicers on the funding limitations of the government. What? We look forward to being able to add additional resources whenever the government chooses to invest more in customer service for their borrowers. Yeah, so there only needs to be but so much invested in customer service. Put it like this. Instead of investing more money into customer service from the government side, why don't they just put that towards the student loans? Okay, this restart could leave lasting financial scars. Partly in anticipation of these issues, the Biden administration promised federal student loan borrowers that they'll be spared most, not all, most of the penalties of missed or late payments until September 30th, 20. Good God. A whole year through its 12-month on-ramp, right? Yet it is uncertain if borrowers are even able to rely on this relief. What? Okay, they're talking about people on properly trained. I wonder if these people have degrees. Do the people who are customer service for these student loan companies, do they also have student loans as well? Or if you go and work for the student loan company and your student loan is with them, should they forgive your student loan? Or should they just not pay you until your student loan is repaid? You work for free for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. These customer service reps are making a lot. If they can reach the servicer to begin with, they don't know about the on-ramp, okay? Meanwhile, this is back to Amber Lee, the librarian, tries to get the student loan forgiveness to which she's entitled. Her account, entitled is a bad word. Her account is showing up as past due. I bet it is. They said we need this money and you ain't pay it to us. During her calls to MOHELA, they warn her that they're trying to collect a debt. Yeah, I know I have debt with you. What? It's especially worrying to her because she's currently trying to assume the mortgage on her house after a divorce. Oh, Lord. Now we get into you get divorced and now you're trying to pay for the mortgage after you get divorced. You might need to sell that. How much equity y'all think? If she's assuming the mortgage for after, this says after divorce, it sounds like the house might be hers now. And since she didn't sell it, she might not have to divvy up some equity. Or she might have to buy him out. Regardless, how much equity y'all think she got in the house? Y'all think it's enough to pay off her student loans? And since her student loans are putting her in a worse financial situation, never mind. She might need to sell the house. My credit is good, and I don't want a negative mark. Oh, Lord. How much are you going to keep taking out? That's it? Shout out to Amber Lee. My credit is good. I don't want a negative remark. Oh, my goodness. All right, y'all. Let's get into how many people, Amber Lee, I guess, isn't one of these people, neither is Sarah, actually made their student loan payment. Here we go. Now we're going to CNN. And we got what matters. Wait, hold on. Oh, my bad. Oh, no. I'm like, what is this? Oh, thank you. There we go. I'm like, yo, where's it at? God dang ads. Nearly 9 million student loan borrowers missed their first payment after pandemic pause ended. I want to be clear. It's almost 20%. It is 20%. It's 45 million people roughly with student loans. 9 million, that's 20% roughly. This is by Katie Labosco. We should wrap this up pretty quickly. It's a three-minute read. But hey, we're talking about student loans. Y'all know me. Nearly 9 million people missed their first student loan payment after pandemic-related pause ended this fall. That means roughly 40% of the 22 million borrowers who had bills due in October did not. So out of all the borrowers, it's around 20%. But we're talking about 40% of the people who had a bill due in October. They didn't make payments by mid-November, so 45 days late, roughly, depending on when their payment was due. Could just be a day late, a couple of days late. Bringing so many borrowers back into repayment at the same time was expected to be a challenge. New data is the first glimpse to how many people may be struggling to afford their student loan bills after their 3+ year freeze. Again, I talked about I believe it was a white paper, but the article or the information that is out there saying when student loans are put into this forbearance due to the panorama, people went and took out more debt. They didn't use that payment to put themselves in a better situation financially. They went and took out more debt. All right. For comparison, fewer than 26 of borrowers missed their payment in October 2019 before the pause went into effect. But borrowers who miss payments through September 2024 won't face significant. See, here's the issue. What do you mean won't face? I don't want to face anything at all if the reason me paying you is messed up is due to you and your lack of ability to figure out how I'm supposed to pay you. I don't want to face any penalties. They won't face significant penalties. In fact, I got to face a penalty at all and I ain't do anything. Shout out to sports. If I ain't do nothing, why are we getting penalized? Thanks to imagine in sports, you get a penalty, they say, oh, you didn't do nothing, but we still gonna penalize you. What? Thanks to an on-ramp period. Okay, the on-ramp period. This on-ramp period is because of this issue. During that period, borrowers won't be reported as delinquent or in default to the 3 national credit bureaus. At least, do these people really need good credit? Because the one thing about credit, as far as your credit score is, it's your utilization. You don't have utilization rate on your student loans, but for your utilization score to get as much as you want for it to impact your credit score, you need to pay it down. You need to have less debt. You don't need to have anything on your revolving debt, whether it be credit cards, lines of credit, whatever it is. So these people, they don't know about that when it comes to student loans. Well, most borrowers have already made their first payment. Others will need more time, right? 60% made their payment, right? Some are confused or overwhelmed about their options. Undersecretary of Education, this needs to be a space. Undersecretary James Cavall wrote in a big blog post. Oh, this says Undersecretary of Education. I guess a second in command like Vice President. Mr. James Cavall is doing a blog post explaining Friday the new repayment figures. It may take some time for borrowers to figure out how much they owe. Why is that going to take time? You're supposed to be told that by your servicer. If I owe you money, why does it take time for you to tell me how much I owe? It may take time for some borrowers to figure out how much they owe each month and how to fit that payment back into their budget after the long pause. No, it should not. They've been on a budget the last 42 flipping months. They should be pretty damn good at it. Some may want to enroll in a different repayment plan to reflect possible change to their financial situation. Okay. Shout out to Jane Doe. This is why she got out of all the license. That's the Maryland license for y'all don't know. Millions of borrowers have a different student loan servicer than they did before. Okay, we talked about that. Okay, the errors, which we talked about as well. Affected borrowers are not required to make the October payment because when error could get detected again. So essentially, this is saying what the total amount of people in the October article that we just went over on CNBC, how many people were actually impacted by that. So we're talking about 16 million people got a new servicer. Then 9 million people didn't make their payment. We're talking about over half the people possibly that got a new service provider didn't make their payment at all. Okay, MOHELA, here we go. I look for a number. Oh, I didn't mean to click on that. Oh, let me get it back, y'all. My apologies. Here we go. They're saying for MOHELA, they failed to send 2.5 million borrowers their bills on time. 2.5 million is insane. These borrowers were placed in forbearance, and the government withheld 7.2 million from MOHELA as punishment. They didn't punish MOHELA when it came to forgiving all these student loans. They helped them out there. Additionally, a Supreme Court, though, estimated 305,000 people initially. So MOHELA went over 25% of the people. 305,000 people initially received federal student loan bills with the wrong amount. My goodness. Many with charges higher than they should be when payments resumed. Those errors were not specific to a certain student loan service. Okay, so everybody's dealt with that issue as far as higher payments than what they should be. There are millions of borrowers who have had their federal student loan debt wiped away since the payment pause went into effect in 2020. Yeah, so the Biden administration has been forgiving a lot of people, but again, we're talking about 132 billion we're stating here versus almost 2 trillion. Okay, so nothing. All right. Talking about the promise that was made. Cool. Cancellations have come through. There are programs that have been cancellations. Public sector workers, people defrauded by, for-profit people. Shout out to ICDC. Was that one of the people? If they weren't, my bad. Don't sue me, sue your mama. Furthermore, the Biden administration launched a new student loan repayment plan to make it easier for borrowers to return to payment. We don't want to make it easier for borrowers to return to payment. We want to make it easier for borrowers to pay off their student loans themselves, because that's what needs to happen. This is why I don't like owing debt. I don't have time for you to mess up how much I owe. Then I got to get into some forbearance, need the government step in, I got to sue, all these various things. I don't want to owe anybody any money besides, the utility company. That's because I can't pay them ahead of time. When they tell me how much I owe them when it's due, they get that and it's on automatic anyway. So they can, when it's due, it's due. But my goodness, income-driven repayment plan, known as the worst thing, known as SAVE, one of the income-driven repayment plans, is likely the most generous payment option for low-income borrowers. Here's the thing. At what point in time do people with a college degree need to no longer fall into the low-income borrowers because they're in a degree field or have a degree, and thus that field when they actually enter the job market is a low-income earning field? At what point in time are we going to say, maybe outside of teachers? And people believe teachers should get paid more, but they get paid via our taxes. That's the other conversation. But let's just exclude teachers. Why do college degrees lead to low-income fields? Shout out to our social workers. Got to get a master's for that. Why are we having that conversation? Why are these people with degrees in low-income earning fields? It allows them to make smaller monthly payments. It's going to put them in a negative AM loan, which means they're probably never going to pay off this damn loan. They're going to keep complaining about the forgiveness. But hey, you remain in good standing so your credit does not get destroyed. But then you're going to complain about how, hey, you got a delay in starting a family or getting married or can't get a house, all these other things because you got this debt. Then when I say, hey, why don't you pay the debt off? You don't want to pay the debt off. Well, if you're not going to pay off your student loans, why would I believe you're going to pay off your mortgage? Oh, okay. Y'all do know if you die with debt, not all, but not everybody, but it's more likely than not that any assets that you have, those are going to be paid first before your family gets it. First, they got to pay off your debtors. And if you got a negative net worth, so you have more in debt than you do in assets, whoever you have set up to inherit your assets or your estate, they're not going to see any of that. If you die with debt and you have money, any type of money, that money got to go to the debtors. You got $500,000 in total debt. You got $100,000 in assets. Your children don't get to see that $100K. Whoever that debtor is, or debtors that can be satisfied with $100,000, $100,000. $100K is right. $100,000, $100K. Anyways, plus unpaid interest does not accrue. Ooh. And that's what they like. No unpaid interest, which is one of the changes I was saying that people should fight for is don't get the forgiveness. The forgiveness was the 42 months of no payments, no penalties for not making a payment, no interest. That was the forgiveness. 42 months of that consecutively. But if you really want to be able to make some progress, the primary thing that people should be asking for who want this forgiveness, instead of forgiveness, say, hey, no more interest. No more interest. And then if you do want to fight for forgiveness, the second thing, the primary thing you fight for is no more interest on student loans. So we can get out of a negative AM loan and I can see when I'm going to pay this off. The second thing you should fight for, and this will go in tandem with the first thing as far as no interest, is whatever I graduated with. If I graduated with $50K, if I've already paid back $50,000, get that forgiven. And then if I haven't paid $50,000 back yet, once I hit that mark, say I'm at 40K, regardless of how much I owe left in principal and interest on my total balance, once I pay back $50,000, I'm good. Those would be the two things that you should be fighting for if you actually want this forgiveness, quote unquote. Not for it all to get wiped away, but for people who are in unfortunate situation where, hey, they're in a negative AM loan and they've paid back more than they graduated with, or they've been making the minimum payment as hundreds of dollars, but still since negative AM, they haven't made a dent, a single penny towards the principal. There has to be some type of relief to them as far as that's what you should be wanting and fighting for. Not that, hey, just get it all forgiven. Because some of y'all, again, there are some people in this situation where they haven't paid any money towards their student loans. And by getting no interest and, hey, I just pay back what I graduated with, that puts the people who haven't made any payments towards the student loan saying, hey, you thought you're not going to pay this at all? You haven't made a single penny as far as the payment towards your student loans. You got to pay at least what, you took out in debt. Your school cost $50K. You got to at least pay the $50K. We're not going to make you pay the interest back. That puts the people who have paid more than what they graduated with or are going to, puts them in a good situation as far as holding them accountable, and they're still going to pay for what they graduated with. And then holds the people who have not paid any money towards the student loans at all, holds them accountable. Like, look, you just got to pay off what you graduated with. No interest, but my God, you was trying to not pay no money? Nah, you got a college degree. You can't be this dumb. Anyways, unpaid interest on the SAVE plan. If a borrower makes a full payment monthly, no unpaid interest accrues on the SAVE plan if a borrower makes a full monthly payment. That means a borrower's balance won't increase even if the monthly payment doesn't cover the interest accumulated. So the interest is still going to accumulate. All right. Well, they say it doesn't accrue, but to my knowledge, it still does accrue. Right. So this is saying if you're in a negative AM loan, so let's say interest was $100, you made a $50 payment. So you made $50 to the payment, interest always gets satisfied first. And so there technically be $50 in interest still sitting there. And say you got a $10,000 principal balance. You took out $10,000 in student loans. With a SAVE plan, that $50 that's left in interest, that's just not going to be there. And you're still going to have $10,000 in principal. So you're still not going to put any money towards the principal. You're still not doing it. So they're saying, hey, you're still going to have the student loan debt. My goodness. All right. And that's it, y'all. All right. Locked and loaded. End of there. Okay, good. We coming in under an hour. Bless the Lord. Look.